My beloved child, listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal will hit you deeper than anything you've heard this year. Your person always wanted you, not for a moment, not for a phase, but from the very beginning. They felt something so intense for you that it scared them. They weren't ready to match your loyalty, your effort, or your emotional depth, because loving you required a level of honesty they had never shown anyone. And the shocking truth is this. Every time you showed them kindness, they felt exposed. Every time you walked away silently, they felt punished. Every time you grew stronger, they almost panicked, because they knew you were becoming someone they could lose forever. Your absence became the one thing they feared more than commitment. And yet, they kept pretending everything was fine, while everything inside them was collapsing. A different kind of truth is rising now, something they can't hide from anymore. They watched you evolve. They watched you detach. They watched you finally put your heart back into your own hands, and that flipped their entire world upside down. Suddenly, the excuses they used to justify their distance stopped working. The distractions they used to avoid thinking about you became useless. And the people around them started noticing the shift. How your name still affects them, how their voice changes when someone mentions you, how their eyes soften when they remember a moment with you. They always wanted you, but they were terrified of giving what you deserved. They weren't ready for the responsibility of being loved by someone like you. They weren't ready for the pressure of not hurting you. They weren't ready to lose the version of themselves they built to survive life. But now, something has changed, something massive. And it's pulling them toward you with a force they can no longer control. And now comes the part they never expected, the part that will shock you the most. They thought they had more time. They thought you would wait. They thought your feelings were permanent, unshakable, unbreakable. But watching you grow into your power has awakened a fear they can't silence. The fear of being replaced, the fear of missing their chance, the fear that someone else will recognize your value faster than they did. That fear is turning into regret, and that regret is turning into realization. And that realization is hitting them like a storm, the kind that forces them to rethink every decision, every delay, every hesitation. They always wanted you, but wanting wasn't enough. Now they're being pushed to choose, stay silent and lose you forever. Or step up and meet the version of you they never thought they'd lose. And my beloved child, the universe is watching what they do next, because the moment they finally act will change everything. My beloved child, a new shift is unfolding around your story, and this time the energy is sharper, clearer, and more urgent than anything they've ever felt. Your person is finally confronting the truth they spent months avoiding. They always wanted you, but they never had the courage to invest the way you did. Now every memory of you feels louder. Every moment you were patient with them keeps replaying in their mind. And for the first time, they're realizing that they weren't just losing someone they liked, they were losing someone who could have changed their entire world. They're feeling a pressure in their chest they can't explain, a restlessness that wakes them up at night, a weight that reminds them of every moment they chose silence instead of effort. They used to think they had options. They used to think you would always be there. But now the universe is stripping away their illusions and forcing them to see the truth. They weren't ready then, but they're being pushed to face everything they ran from now. A deeper revelation is rising inside them, one that is shaking their confidence in ways they never expected. They're starting to understand why you pulled back. They're seeing how deeply you carried the connection, how much you gave without asking for anything in return, how many times you tried to show them the path to a healthier bond. And now, as the distance grows, a fear has settled inside them. A fear that someone else might be appreciating you quietly, noticing your strength, valuing your presence the way they should have from the beginning. They can feel the possibility of losing you becoming real, and it's forcing them to confront parts of themselves they never wanted to face. They're suddenly aware of how their hesitations shaped the outcome. They're remembering the moments you tried to open your heart, and how they responded with half-effort because they weren't emotionally prepared. But now that they see you rising into your power, they're realizing that the gap between who they were and who you needed them to be is no longer acceptable. They're wrestling with a truth that hurts: you weren't asking for too much, they were giving too little. And now something enormous is shifting, something with the power to rewrite the entire future of this connection. Your person is being pushed by an inner calling they can't ignore anymore, a demand to step into the version of themselves they've always been afraid to become. The universe is cornering them with clarity: if they want you, they can't rely on desire alone. They must put in real effort, real consistency, real presence. And that realization is so intense that it's forcing them to rethink their priorities, their values, and even their identity. They feel the urgency rising as they sense you slipping further into your self-growth phase, the phase where you stop waiting and start choosing yourself. They always wanted you, that part has never changed. But now they're learning that wanting is not enough when the universe brings someone like you into their life. The energy around them is shifting fast, pushing them to act before the window closes forever. And whether they step forward or stay frozen, that choice will define everything that happens next. My beloved child, the energy around your person is turning heavier, sharper, and far more intense than before. They're reaching a point where the truth can no longer be softened or escaped. Deep inside, they're finally admitting something they kept hidden even from themselves. You were the only one who ever made them feel seen, understood, and grounded. They always wanted you, not casually, not halfway, but with a depth they didn't have the maturity to handle at that time. Now, every wall they built is cracking under the pressure of realization. They're remembering the way you spoke, the way you cared, the way you showed up without expecting applause. And it haunts them, because they know they never matched that energy. They feel the weight of knowing they had something rare, and they let fear decide for them. This regret is becoming a daily companion, whispering to them that life won't bring another connection like the one they had with you. A stronger awakening is happening inside them now, one that's making them confront their own emotional shadows. They're starting to see how selfishness, confusion, or lack of effort pushed you further away. They're realizing how often they chose silence when you chose vulnerability, how often they chose distance when you offered closeness, how often they chose temporary comforts instead of building something lasting with you. And now, as they watch your energy rise, your confidence, your glow, your detachment, a wave of panic is rising inside them. They thought you would always bend, always wait, always stay available. But now they can feel the shift. You're no longer carrying the connection alone. You're no longer chasing a future they weren't ready to build. This is forcing them to face a truth they avoided for too long: wanting you was easy, but matching your love requires growth, commitment, and courage, things they never invested in. Until now. And here comes the most powerful twist, the one that's shaking them from the inside out. They're feeling an unmistakable pull, a spiritual, emotional, and energetic push. Telling them that if they don't step up now, they will lose you permanently. They can feel time running out. They can feel the universe closing the window they took for granted. And that fear is waking something fierce inside their heart, a determination they never showed you before. They're beginning to understand that you weren't asking for effort because you were needy, you were asking because you knew the connection deserved more. Now, as they stand at this crossroads, they're finally realizing what it truly means to lose someone who was meant to change their life for the better. They always wanted you, but this time the universe is demanding proof, not promises. And my beloved child, what they choose next will become the turning point of this entire story. My beloved child, a powerful turning point has arrived, the kind that shakes the air around your story and forces every hidden truth into the light. Your person is finally reaching the stage they never imagined, the stage where the regret becomes louder than their pride. They always wanted you, but they weren't ready to give the effort, the consistency, or the emotional steadiness you kept offering with open hands. Now, as they feel your energy changing, something inside them is breaking open. They're realizing that connections like yours don't come twice. They're realizing that the universe isn't waiting for them anymore. And deep within, they're sensing that what you two shared was powerful enough that people would share your story just to understand how a connection so strong nearly slipped away because of fear. That realization is tearing at them, forcing them to confront the truth. They were the one holding everything back, not fate, not timing, not destiny. A deeper emotional shift is happening, one that's pushing them into unfamiliar territory. They're feeling things they once pushed aside. Responsibility, accountability, the need to show up instead of hiding behind excuses. Every memory of you is becoming a lesson. Every moment with you is becoming a reminder of what effort actually looks like. And now, as they stand in the silence they created, they're understanding why your presence was so rare, why your patience was so valuable, why your consistency was so powerful. They know people would talk about a story like this. A story where someone finally realizes too late what they had, a story strong enough to make anyone reflect on their own connections. And this awareness is pushing them to look at you with new eyes, eyes that finally understand your worth, your strength, your loyalty. They see now that they didn't just risk losing a person, they risked losing the one soul who would have walked through any storm for them. Now comes the moment that changes their internal world, the moment where they understand that the universe won't give them endless chances. They feel the urgency rising like a fire in their chest. They feel the pressure of knowing you're no longer waiting for them. They feel the fear that someone else might appreciate you, understand you, and stand beside you with the effort they failed to give. This fear is transforming into a realization so intense that even others who hear about your connection would reflect on it, speak about it, or share it as a reminder of what happens when someone takes love for granted. Your person is being pushed toward evolution, not by force, but by the weight of losing you. They always wanted you. But the difference now is that the universe is demanding action, demanding growth, demanding that they prove with consistency what they once felt only in silence. And my beloved child, this shift inside them is only the beginning of the transformation that will rewrite your entire story. My beloved child, the storm inside your person is reaching its peak, and this time the intensity is too strong for them to hide behind distractions or excuses. They always wanted you. That truth has never changed, but now the weight of everything they failed to give is pressing on their chest like a truth they can no longer run from. Every moment you pulled back, every second you became colder, every day you focused on yourself, it's all hitting them like a wave they weren't prepared to face. They're realizing that your silence is louder than your love ever was. They're realizing that your distance speaks the truth they never wanted to hear: you won't wait forever. And with each passing moment, they're feeling the fear of losing you settle into their bones. That fear is sharp, raw, undeniable, the kind that makes them revisit every memory just to understand where they went wrong and how long you've been slipping out of their reach. A deeper emotional collapse is happening within them, one that's forcing them to confront parts of themselves they always avoided. They're replaying the times you tried to communicate, and now they finally understand the effort behind your words. They're remembering the moments when you gave more love than they knew what to do with, and now those memories feel like lessons they ignored. They can feel your energy shifting upward, stronger, lighter, more focused on yourself, and it terrifies them because they know that once you reach a certain level of self-worth, you won't look back. They're starting to understand that you didn't walk away because you stopped caring, you walked away because they weren't ready to meet you where you already were. That realization is burning through them, pushing them into a space where they must choose between growth or regret, transformation or loss. And for the first time, they see the truth clearly: your love didn't break them, their fear did. Now comes the twist they never expected, the moment where the universe corners them with clarity so strong it shakes their entire foundation. They're beginning to see the future, a future where you shine without them, where someone else understands the depth of your heart, where someone else gives you the effort they withheld. That image scares them more than anything. It forces them to realize that wanting you was never enough. Desire without effort is just a wish, and they spent too long wishing instead of building. Now the universe is demanding movement. It's demanding honesty. It's demanding that they finally step toward the connection they once ran from. They always wanted you, but now the question burning inside them is whether they still have a place in your world, or whether their hesitations have already written the ending. And my beloved child, the choice they make next will determine whether this story becomes a rebirth, or a memory. My beloved child, the energy surrounding your person is reaching a level that even they can't ignore anymore. They're standing face to face with a truth they avoided for far too long: you were never the problem, their unreadiness was. They always wanted you, but they didn't know how to match your depth, your consistency, or your emotional strength. Now the universe is stripping away every illusion they hid behind. Every moment they hesitated is echoing back. Every chance they wasted is replaying like a warning. And the silence between you, the silence they assumed was harmless, is now suffocating them in ways they never imagined. They can feel your absence like a missing heartbeat. They can feel the shift in your energy like a door closing slowly but surely. And this time, they know the truth: if they don't move, they lose you. Not temporarily, permanently. A fierce internal awakening is unfolding, one that is forcing them to confront their deepest fears. They used to believe there would always be time to grow, time to heal, time to return, time to choose you properly. But life is showing them that time is not endless, and connections like yours do not pause for convenience. They're realizing how you carried the emotional weight for both of you, how you showed the path when they were lost, how you stayed loyal even when they were unsure. And now, as they sense you stepping into a new chapter, a panic is rising inside them, not a dramatic panic, but a silent, soul-deep panic that hits when someone finally understands what they're about to lose. They're questioning everything. Why they pulled away, why they didn't communicate, why they let their fears speak louder than their intentions. This is the confrontation they were never prepared for, the moment where the universe forces them to see exactly who they were, and who they could have been with you. Now the pressure becomes transformation, the kind that doesn't break, but rebuilds. They're feeling something they haven't felt in a long time. Urgency. Real urgency. Not the kind that comes from fear alone, but from clarity, from awakening, from the realization that you were the one they should have chosen with both hands instead of one. They're understanding that your energy is no longer waiting for them, it's rising, expanding, elevating beyond their past version. And that terrifies them, because they know someone like you won't stay single in the universe's eyes for long. They feel the universe pushing them, pushing hard. Telling them that if they don't show effort now, if they don't step out of their comfort zone now, if they don't evolve now, the chapter closes. They always wanted you. But now the universe is demanding that they prove it, not with empty feelings, but with action, maturity, and consistency. And my beloved child, the next move they take will rewrite the destiny of this connection in a way neither of you saw coming. My beloved child, the universe is tightening the circle around your person, and this time the pressure is so intense that even their strongest defenses are beginning to crumble. They always wanted you. That part has been carved into their heart since the first moment they felt your energy. But now they're realizing the cost of wanting without effort. They're feeling the consequences of choosing fear over action, silence over communication, hesitation over commitment. And the more they sense your inner glow rising, the more they feel the truth sinking in. You're not the same version of yourself who waited, who hoped, who tried to carry the entire connection alone. You've shifted. You've transformed. You've stepped into a place where your worth is non-negotiable. And this shift is shaking them more than any argument or confrontation ever could. It's making them understand that losing you wouldn't just hurt, it would define them. A deeper collapse is unfolding inside them, the kind that only happens when a person realizes they're standing on the edge of losing something irreplaceable. They're beginning to see how their lack of effort didn't protect them, it trapped them. It made them believe they were safe from vulnerability, when in reality it only distanced them from the one soul who genuinely cared. Now they're replaying everything. The way you tried to open your heart, the times you reached out with sincerity, the moments you stayed even when you had every reason to walk away. And each memory hits them like lightning, showing them the truth they ignored. You weren't weak for loving them deeply, they were unprepared to receive a love that pure. Now they feel a strange mixture of longing and panic, a burning desire to be the version of themselves they should have been when they had you right there in front of them. And now comes the moment that changes the energy completely, the moment where their regret turns into determination. They can feel a shift in the universe, a shift telling them that the window is closing, the chapter is thinning, the energy around the connection is transitioning into a new phase. They sense you rising into a frequency they may not be able to follow unless they grow fast, evolve fast, act fast. The fear of losing you is no longer a distant thought. It's a reality pressing against their ribcage. It's making them rethink their priorities, their patterns, their emotional blocks. And for the first time, effort is beginning to feel more urgent than comfort. They always wanted you, but now they're finally understanding the truth. Wanting you requires showing up for you. It requires transformation. It requires becoming someone who deserves access to your heart. And my beloved child, the universe is waiting to see if they finally rise to the level of the connection they almost lost. My beloved child, the energy around your story is now entering its most intense phase, the point where everything your person tried to suppress is rising all at once. They always wanted you, but they never imagined the day would come when their desire for you would be overshadowed by something far more powerful, the fear of losing you for good. That fear is now flooding their system like a truth they cannot escape. They're realizing how much of your connection depended on your effort, your patience, your emotional strength. They see how you carried the bond with both hands while they held it loosely with one. And now, as your energy grows into something unshakable, they feel the universe whispering a truth they never wanted to face: they are no longer the center of your world. And if they don't rise now, they will become a chapter you outgrew. A deeper unraveling is happening inside them, and it's forcing them to look at themselves with brutal honesty. They're starting to understand that your love wasn't fragile, it was rare. That your loyalty wasn't guaranteed, it was earned. And that your presence wasn't owed, it was a blessing they mishandled. They're remembering every moment they brushed off your emotions, every time they thought you'd stay no matter what, every instance where they offered half-effort thinking it was enough. And now those memories feel like mistakes carved into stone. They're watching you shift into a version of yourself who knows their worth, who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, who doesn't bend. And it terrifies them because you were once soft for them, but now you've stepped into your power. A power that makes you harder to reach, harder to access, harder to lose sleep over. They can feel your energy no longer leaning toward them, and that shift is waking them up more than any confession ever could. Now the universe delivers the sharpest realization, the one that turns their hesitation into urgency. They can feel a timeline closing, a spiritual countdown they didn't believe in until now. They sense that someone else could walk into your life, someone who understands your value instantly, someone who mirrors your effort without fear, someone who gives you what they struggled to offer. And that possibility is shaking their soul. It's pulling them into a transformation they avoided for years. They're starting to see that the connection they always wanted now requires effort they never invested. That loving you means showing up with actions, not emotions alone. That if they want a place in your future, they must earn it, with consistency, with clarity, with courage. They always wanted you, but now they're standing in the moment where the universe demands proof. And my beloved child, the path they choose from here will determine whether they become your partner in this story, or a memory you finally rise above.